In a small town surrounded by green hills and quiet farmlands, life moved slowly. People woke up early to tend to their chores, children played in the streets until sunset, and neighbors shared warm smiles as they passed each other on dusty roads. It was an ordinary place, untouched by the chaos of big cities or global politics. The only thing that stood out was an old observatory perched on top of a hill just outside town. For years, it had been home to scientists who spent their nights staring at the stars through powerful telescopes, searching for answers to questions no one could fully explain. Among these scientists was Dr. Elena Carter, a woman in her mid-30s, with sharp eyes and a determined spirit. She had always been fascinated by space, its vastness, its mysteries, and its secrets. Every night she climbed the winding staircase inside the observatory, adjusted the massive telescope, and scanned the heavens for anything unusual. Sometimes she would find comets streaking across the sky or strange patterns of light that hinted at distant galaxies. But most nights all she saw were stars, millions of them twinkling silently, like tiny lanterns hanging in the darkness. On this particular evening, however, something felt different. As soon as Elena stepped into the observatory, a strange tension filled the air. Her assistant, Mark, was already there, adjusting dials and muttering under his breath. He looked up when he heard her footsteps. "Dr. Carter," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. "You need to see this." Elena hurried over to the control panel and peered at the screen displaying data from the telescope. At first glance, everything seemed normal, the usual scattering of stars, planets, and cosmic dust. But then she noticed it. A faint ripple in the fabric of the sky. It wasn't visible to the naked eye, but the instruments picked it up clearly. It looked almost like heat waves shimmering above asphalt on a hot summer day, except it stretched across a wide section of the night sky. "What is that?" Elena asked, leaning closer to study the anomaly. "I don't know," Mark replied, shaking his head. "It's not an asteroid or a comet. It doesn't match any known celestial object. And look here." He pointed to another set of readings. "There's some kind of energy fluctuation coming from it." Elena frowned. This was unlike anything she'd ever encountered before. Could it be a malfunction in their equipment? She double-checked the settings, recalibrated the sensors, and even switched to a backup system. But the ripple remained, growing slightly more pronounced with each passing minute. As word spread about the mysterious phenomenon, curiosity turned into concern. Townspeople gathered outside the observatory, craning their necks to catch a glimpse of whatever was happening in the sky. Some brought binoculars, others simply stared upward, trying to make sense of the shifting patterns of light. Rumors began circulating. Was it a government experiment gone wrong? Or maybe aliens finally revealing themselves after decades of speculation? By midnight, the situation escalated dramatically. The ripple expanded, stretching wider and brighter until it resembled a tear in the very fabric of reality. Then suddenly, shapes started emerging from within the rift. At first they were indistinct blobs glowing faintly against the blackness of space. But as they drew closer, their true forms became clear. Enormous ships, sleek and metallic, bristling with weapons and pulsating with energy. They weren't human-made. They couldn't be. Their designs were too advanced, too alien. Panic rippled through the crowd below. Mothers grabbed their children and ran toward their homes, while men shouted warnings to anyone still lingering outside. Cars screeched down narrow streets as people fled in terror. Even the scientists inside the observatory froze, unsure of what to do next. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the ships hover ominously above Earth. Were these visitors friend or foe? Would they attack, destroy, or enslave humanity? But then something unexpected happened. Instead of descending upon the planet, the alien ships stopped moving altogether. A beam of light shot out from the largest vessel, projecting an image onto the clouds above. It wasn't in words, at least not in any language spoken on Earth, but rather in vivid pictures and symbols. The message was clear. The aliens weren't here to invade. They were running from something far worse. The images showed scenes of devastation, planets reduced to rubble, cities consumed by fire, and fleets of monstrous creatures hunting down civilizations across the galaxy. These aliens were refugees, fleeing an enemy so powerful that even their advanced technology couldn't stop it. As the realization sank in, fear gave way to confusion. Why had they come to Earth? Did they think humanity could help them? Or were they merely seeking refuge? Back at the observatory, Elena struggled to process what she was seeing. Her mind raced with questions. Who or what could possibly pose such a threat to these aliens? And more importantly, how would humanity respond? Governments around the world were already scrambling to react, issuing emergency broadcasts and mobilizing military forces. Yet, despite the chaos unfolding below, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that something much bigger was about to happen. Little did she know, deep beneath Earth's surface, ancient structures long forgotten by time were stirring. Massive platforms, hidden beneath oceans and deserts, began to rise, revealing sleek metallic vessels unlike anything humanity had ever seen. They weren't just ships, they were star destroyers, relics of a forgotten era left behind by an unknown civilization. And they were waking up. As dawn approached, the townspeople returned cautiously to the streets, their faces pale with exhaustion and fear. No one knew what the future held, but one thing was certain. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. Something incredible, and perhaps terrifying, was about to unfold. As the alien ships hung motionless in the sky, a wave of uncertainty swept across the globe. Governments convened emergency meetings, military forces prepared for the worst, and news outlets buzzed with endless speculation. People everywhere were glued to their screens, watching live footage of the massive vessels hovering ominously above Earth. The aliens' message, transmitted through haunting images of destruction, had left humanity trembling. Whatever chased these beings was clearly beyond comprehension, something capable of annihilating entire civilizations. But the question remained, why had they come here? What did they want from Earth? Dr. Elena Carter sat in her office at the observatory, staring blankly at stacks of papers and computer screens filled with data. She hadn't slept since the night before, her mind overwhelmed by the events unfolding around her. Outside, the townspeople whispered nervously about what might happen next. Some believed the aliens would demand resources or shelter. Others feared they might see humans as expendable obstacles. Yet, despite the fear gripping the world, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this story than met the eye. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door. It was Mark, holding a tablet displaying new satellite readings. "Dr. Carter," he said urgently, "you need to see this." Elena rose from her chair and followed him to the main control room. On one of the monitors, an unusual pattern was visible, a series of energy spikes emanating from deep beneath Earth's surface. At first glance, it looked like seismic activity, but closer inspection revealed something extraordinary. Massive structures buried underground were beginning to stir. Ancient platforms hidden for millennia were rising through oceans, deserts, and forests. They emerged slowly, shaking off layers of dirt and rock as if awakening from a long slumber. What are those?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We don't know yet," Mark replied, his eyes wide with disbelief. "But look at their design. They're not natural formations. Someone or something built them." The structures were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Sleek and metallic, they gleamed in the sunlight as they surfaced. Each one stood taller than skyscrapers, their surfaces etched with intricate patterns that pulsed faintly with light. As they ascended fully into view, they transformed into colossal ships, star destroyers, ready to take flight. News of their appearance spread instantly, sparking panic and awe in equal measure. Social media exploded with videos and photos of the mysterious vessels, while conspiracy theories ran rampant. Some claimed they were remnants of Atlantis. Others insisted they were evidence of extraterrestrial contact in Earth's distant past. No one knew for sure, but one thing was clear. Humanity now possessed weapons far beyond its understanding. Back at the observatory, Elena and her team worked tirelessly to decipher the purpose of these newfound ships. Dubbed the Sentinels by the media, the vessels seemed dormant at first, their lights flickering weakly. But as the hours passed, they grew brighter, responding to some unseen force. Elena noticed a peculiar trend. Whenever large groups of people gathered near the Sentinels, their glow intensified. It was as though they fed on human emotion, hope, unity, determination, all the feelings bubbling up within communities worldwide. Meanwhile, the aliens continued to broadcast their desperate plea for help. Their ships remained stationary, their occupants clearly terrified of whatever pursued them. But when the Sentinels appeared, the aliens reacted with unmistakable horror. Their transmissions shifted, showing images of the Sentinels battling monstrous creatures in ancient times. These weren't mere machines. They were guardians, protectors of Earth created by a civilization long gone. And the aliens recognized them, recoiling in fear as memories of past conflicts resurfaced. Governments scrambled to respond to the situation. Military leaders debated whether to attack the alien fleet preemptively, fearing they might pose a threat. Others argued that humanity should ally with the refugees, combining forces against the greater danger looming on the horizon. Amidst the chaos, Elena found herself thrust into an unexpected role, mediator between Earth and the aliens. With her expertise in astrophysics and her calm demeanor, she became the face of humanity's response effort. Her first meeting with the aliens took place aboard their lead ship, transported via a beam of light that enveloped her body and whisked her into space. Inside the vessel, she encountered beings unlike anything she'd imagined. Tall and slender with translucent skin and glowing eyes, they communicated telepathically, projecting thoughts directly into her mind. Their message was simple. They needed sanctuary. The enemy chasing them, the void spawn, were biomechanical. Horrors that consumed everything in their path, leaving only emptiness behind. They begged Elena to convince humanity to let them stay, promising to share their advanced technology in return. Elena returned to Earth burdened by the weight of responsibility. She presented the aliens' case to world leaders, urging them to consider cooperation over conflict. Her arguments struck a chord, especially after scientists confirmed that the Sentinels responded positively to human emotions. If humanity united, focusing its collective willpower on hope and survival, the Sentinels could become unstoppable defenders. To test this theory, Elena organized a global event called the Unity Rally. People from every corner of the planet gathered in public spaces, holding hands and concentrating on peaceful thoughts. In cities, parks, and even remote villages, billions participated simultaneously, sending waves of positive energy toward the Sentinels. Slowly but surely, the results became evident. The ship's lights burned brighter, their engines humming with power. Ancient mechanisms deep within their cores activated, causing them to rise higher into the atmosphere. For the first time in thousands of years, the Sentinels were fully awake and ready to fight. But the true test lay ahead. The void spawn were still out there, closing in on Earth with terrifying speed. Would the Sentinels be enough to stop them? Or would humanity's newfound strength falter under pressure? As the days ticked by, anticipation built to a fever pitch. Soldiers trained alongside alien technicians, learning how to operate advanced weaponry. Scientists worked around the clock, analyzing data from both the Sentinels and the alien fleet. And ordinary citizens prepared themselves mentally, knowing that the fate of the planet rested not just on technology, but on their ability to stand together. Elena often found herself reflecting on the irony of the situation. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of making contact with intelligent life beyond Earth. Now that dream had come true, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of exploring new worlds, humans were preparing to defend their own. Yet amidst the fear and uncertainty, there was also hope. For the first time in history, humanity was truly united, bound by a shared purpose and a determination to survive. As she stood atop the hill overlooking the observatory, gazing at the Sentinels glowing softly in the distance, Elena felt a surge of pride. Earth had always been resilient, capable of overcoming even the greatest challenges. And now, armed with ancient guardians and a spirit of unity, it was ready to face whatever came next. This part expands on the mystery of the Sentinels, introduces the concept of emotional connection as a key element, and builds tension as humanity prepares for the impending battle. The narrative remains engaging and accessible, using straightforward language to convey complex ideas. The world watched in awe as the Sentinels rose higher into the atmosphere, their metallic surfaces gleaming under the sun. Each ship was a marvel of engineering, its design far beyond anything humanity could have imagined. Intricate patterns, etched across their hulls, pulsed with light, shifting colors like living organisms responding to the mood of the planet below. For days, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to understand how these ancient machines operated. They conducted tests, analyzed energy readings, and even attempted to communicate directly with them. But no matter what they tried, the Sentinels remained silent, until one fateful evening when everything changed. It began with a simple experiment led by Dr. Elena Carter. Inspired by earlier observations that the Sentinels responded to human emotions, she proposed an idea. Instead of trying to control or command them, perhaps they could be activated through collective thought. To test this theory, she gathered a group of volunteers at the base of one Sentinel located near the observatory. Among them were townspeople, scientists, soldiers, and even some children who had been fascinated by the mysterious ships since their emergence. Together, they formed a circle, holding hands and focusing on feelings of peace, unity, and hope. At first, nothing happened. The Sentinel loomed above them, unmoving and seemingly indifferent. Doubts crept into people's minds. Was this just another futile attempt? Then slowly but surely the lights on the ship's surface began to brighten. Faint hums filled the air, growing louder as the glow intensified. Suddenly the ground beneath their feet trembled, and the Sentinel shuddered to life. Its engines roared, sending shockwaves rippling outward. Everyone stumbled backward, shielding their eyes from the blinding radiance now emanating from the ship. When the light finally dimmed, the Sentinel hovered silently, ready for action. Word of this breakthrough spread quickly. Within hours, similar experiments were conducted around the globe, awakening more Sentinels. As each ship came online, humanity's confidence grew. These ancient guardians weren't relics of the past. They were weapons of unimaginable power, designed to protect Earth from threats both known and unknown. But with great power came great responsibility. Leaders from every nation convened to discuss how best to use the Sentinels' abilities. Some argued for immediate offensive action against the Void Spawn, while others urged caution, fearing unintended consequences. Ultimately, it was decided that the Sentinels would remain defensive until the enemy arrived. Meanwhile, the alien refugees continued broadcasting warnings about the Void Spawn. Their transmissions showed increasingly dire images: entire star systems wiped out, civilizations reduced to ash, and planets left as barren wastelands. The aliens described the Void Spawn as biomechanical monstrosities capable of adapting to any environment. They consumed not only resources but also energy, leaving behind only emptiness. Worse still, they seemed drawn to conflict, feeding off the destruction they caused. Humanity realized that if the Void Spawn reached Earth, there would be no escape. The stakes couldn't have been higher. As preparations intensified, Elena found herself working closely with the aliens. Despite their initial fear of the Sentinels, they proved invaluable allies, sharing knowledge about advanced technology and strategies for combating the Void Spawn. One alien leader, a tall, slender being named Kale, became particularly close to Elena. Through telepathic communication, he explained that his species had encountered the Void Spawn centuries ago. At first, they had fought valiantly, using their own fleet of warships to hold the line. But over time, the Void Spawn evolved, becoming stronger and smarter. Eventually, the aliens were forced to flee, abandoning their home and wandering the galaxy in search of refuge. Kale's stories struck a chord with Elena. She saw parallels between the aliens' plight and humanity's current predicament. Both civilizations faced extinction-level threats, yet both refused to give up without a fight. This realization fueled her determination to ensure Earth stood strong. She spent countless hours coordinating efforts between humans and aliens, combining their strengths to prepare for the inevitable battle. Soldiers trained alongside alien warriors, learning new tactics and mastering unfamiliar weapons. Scientists collaborated to enhance Earth's defenses, integrating alien tech with human ingenuity. And ordinary citizens played their part too, organizing rallies and events to maintain morale. One such event took place in New York City, where millions gathered in Times Square to participate in the Global Pulse. Similar to the Unity Rally, this initiative aimed to amplify humanity's emotional connection with the Sentinels. Participants meditated together, visualizing beams of light connecting their hearts to the ships orbiting above. As they focused, the Sentinels responded dramatically. Their lights flared brighter than ever before, bathing the night sky in radiant hues. Across continents, other cities joined in, creating a synchronized wave of energy that resonated throughout the planet. It was a moment of pure unity, proof that humanity could rise above fear and division when faced with a common threat. But not everyone supported these efforts. Conspiracy theorists accused the government of hiding information, claiming the Sentinels posed a greater danger than the Void Spawn. Others believed the aliens were manipulating humanity, using the crisis to gain control. Protests erupted in major cities, with crowds demanding transparency and accountability. While most dismissed these claims as paranoia, they highlighted the challenges of maintaining trust during times of uncertainty. Despite the dissent, progress continued. Engineers developed protocols for piloting the Sentinels, discovering that they required not traditional controls, but rather mental focus and intent. Pilots underwent rigorous training to master this skill, learning how to channel their thoughts into commands. Early tests revealed that the Sentinels were incredibly agile, capable of maneuvering through space with precision unmatched by any human-made vessel. Armed with powerful energy cannons and shields that could withstand immense force, they were truly formidable weapons. As the final pieces fell into place, humanity braced itself for the arrival of the Void Spawn. Military forces positioned themselves strategically, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Alien scouts patrolled the edges of Earth's solar system, keeping watch for signs of the enemy. And the Sentinels hovered in formation, their glowing forms serving as both a beacon of hope and a warning to any who dared approach. Yet, despite all the preparations, a sense of unease lingered. No one knew exactly what to expect. Would the Sentinels prove strong enough to repel the Void Spawn? Or would humanity's newfound strength falter under pressure? Elena often found solace in the quiet moments between meetings and briefings. Standing atop the hill near the observatory, she gazed at the Sentinels glowing softly in the distance. Each pulse of light reminded her of the resilience and determination coursing through humanity. Though fear still lingered in the hearts of many, it was tempered by courage and resolve. For the first time in history, Earth was truly united, standing shoulder to shoulder with beings from another world to face a shared destiny. And then, it happened. A sudden spike in energy readings alerted the global network monitoring the skies. Deep space sensors detected movement, an armada of dark, swirling shapes hurtling toward Earth at unimaginable speed. The Void Spawn had arrived. The moment humanity had been dreading finally arrived. The Void Spawn descended upon Earth's solar system like a plague, their forms shifting and mutating as they absorbed energy from nearby stars. From the observatory, Dr. Elena Carter watched, in horror as her screens lit up with data streaming in from deep space sensors. The enemy was massive, far larger than anyone had anticipated. Swarms of biomechanical monstrosities filled the void, their bodies composed of writhing tendrils and jagged metal. Some resembled living asteroids pulsating with dark energy, while others took on monstrous shapes with gaping maws and glowing eyes. They moved with purpose, devouring everything in their path. Panic rippled across Earth as news of the Void Spawn's approach spread. Cities went into lockdown. Military forces scrambled to defensive positions, and civilians huddled indoors praying for salvation. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was also resolve. Humanity had prepared for this moment, not just with weapons and technology, but with unity and hope. The Sentinels stood ready, their lights blazing brighter than ever before. Pilots trained to command them sat in specially designed chambers, their minds linked directly to the ship's systems. Soldiers armed with alien-enhanced weaponry awaited orders, while ordinary citizens focused their collective willpower on empowering the ancient guardians. The battle began at the edge of the solar system, where alien scouts engaged the void spawn, in skirmishes meant to slow their advance. Though outnumbered, the aliens fought valiantly, using their advanced technology to create barriers and traps that temporarily held the enemy at bay. But it soon became clear that these tactics wouldn't be enough. The void spawn adapted quickly, breaking through defenses and surging forward with relentless fury. Every planet they passed suffered catastrophic damage. Mercury cracked under immense pressure, Venus's atmosphere boiled away, and Mars crumbled into fragments. The destruction sent shock waves throughout Earth, reminding everyone what was at stake. When the void spawn reached Jupiter, humanity launched its counterattack. The Sentinels surged forward, led by Elena's team of pilots, who communicated telepathically with each other and with the ships themselves. The first wave of attacks came as beams of pure light erupted from the Sentinels' cannons, slicing through the darkness of space. These beams didn't just destroy, they seemed to unravel reality itself, leaving trails of emptiness where the void spawn once existed. For a brief moment it looked like humanity might gain the upper hand. But the void spawn were not so easily defeated. Their numbers appeared endless, replenishing instantly whenever one of them fell. Worse still, they began targeting the Sentinels directly, launching waves of corrosive projectiles that ate away at the ship's hulls. Inside the piloting chambers, alarms blared as pilots struggled to maintain control. One Sentinel took heavy damage, its glow dimming as cracks formed along its surface. Its pilot screamed in agony as the ship's pain echoed through their mental link, forcing them to retreat. Back on Earth, people rallied together in desperation. Millions gathered in public spaces, holding hands and focusing their thoughts on healing and resilience. Their efforts weren't in vain. The damaged Sentinel responded almost immediately, its wounds sealing shut as its light flared back to life. Encouraged by this success, similar gatherings sprang up worldwide, creating a network of emotional support that bolstered the Sentinel's strength. The ships grew faster, stronger, and more precise, their attacks cutting through the void spawn with devastating efficiency. Yet even with humanity's best efforts, the battle raged on. The void spawn adapted to every strategy, learning and evolving at an alarming rate. They began targeting Earth itself, sending smaller units ahead to bombard the planet with energy blasts. Cities crumbled, oceans boiled, and entire regions were reduced to ash. Despite the devastation, humanity refused to surrender. Soldiers fought bravely on the front lines, protecting civilians and buying time for the Sentinels to regroup. Alien refugees joined the fight too, risking their lives to repay humanity for offering them sanctuary. Elena played a crucial role during the battle, coordinating between human forces and the aliens. From her command center inside the observatory, she monitored the situation in real time, relaying instructions to pilots and strategists alike. Her calm demeanor inspired confidence, helping keep morale high even as the odds seemed insurmountable. Kyle, the alien leader, remained by her side, providing insights into the void spawn's weaknesses. Together they devised a daring plan: lure the void spawn into a concentrated area near Saturn and unleash the full power of the Sentinels in one final decisive strike. Executing the plan required precision and sacrifice. Human and alien fleets worked together to draw the void spawn toward the designated location, engaging them in brutal combat along the way. Pilots pushed their Sentinels to the limit, weaving through swarms of enemies while unleashing torrents of energy. Back on Earth, billions of people participated in what became known as the Final Pulse. In parks, stadiums, and open fields, they channeled their emotions into a single unified force, amplifying the Sentinels' abilities beyond anything previously imagined. As the void spawn converged near Saturn, the stage was set for the climactic showdown. The Sentinels positioned themselves strategically, forming a ring around the enemy. Their lights pulsed in unison, growing brighter with each passing second. Then, with a deafening roar, they unleashed their ultimate attack, a massive beam of concentrated energy that tore through space like a bolt of lightning. The beam struck the heart of the void spawn swarm, obliterating countless creatures in an instant. The remaining void spawn recoiled, their forms destabilizing as they attempted to flee. But the Sentinels weren't done yet. Sensing victory within reach, they intensified their assault, firing salvos of energy beams that shredded the void spawn into nothingness. The battle lasted hours, but eventually, the tide turned decisively in humanity's favor. One by one, the void spawn disintegrated, their dark forms dissolving into the void from which they came. When the last of them vanished, silence fell over the battlefield. A silence broken only by the hum of the Sentinels' engines and the cheers of those watching from Earth. Though victorious, the cost had been immense. Entire cities lay in ruins, and millions of lives had been lost. The scars of war would take years to heal. Yet, amid the devastation, there was also triumph. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger than ever before. The Sentinels, now heroes in their own right, returned to orbit around Earth, their lights dimming slightly as if acknowledging the sacrifices made below. Elena stood, atop the hill near the observatory, gazing at the Sentinels glowing softly against the night sky. Tears streamed down her face as she thought about all that had transpired, the fear, the loss, the courage, and the unity. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that humanity had proven itself capable of greatness. With the help of the Sentinels and their newfound allies, Earth could rebuild and prepare for whatever challenges lay ahead. When the dust settled, both literally and figuratively, a profound silence enveloped Earth. The skies, once filled with the chaos of war, now stretched wide and empty, dotted only by stars that seemed to shine brighter than before. It was as if the universe itself had taken a deep breath after the storm. For humanity, this moment marked not just survival, but transformation. The battle against the void spawn had left scars on every corner of the planet, but it had also forged bonds stronger than anyone could have imagined. Dr. Elena Carter stood at the edge of a crater where one of the Sentinels had landed temporarily during the final assault. Its surface shimmered faintly under the morning sun, its intricate pattern still glowing softly, despite having returned to dormancy. She placed her hand on its cool metal hull, feeling an inexplicable connection to the ancient machine. It wasn't just technology, it was a guardian, a protector, and now a symbol of hope. Around her, teams of scientists worked tirelessly to study the Sentinel, hoping to unlock more secrets hidden within its core. But for Elena, the most important discovery had already been made: the power of unity. The aftermath of the battle brought both challenges and opportunities. Governments around the world collaborated like never before, pooling resources to rebuild shattered cities and heal wounded communities. Alien refugees who had fought alongside humans were no longer seen as outsiders. They became integral members of society. Their advanced knowledge helped accelerate recovery efforts, from repairing infrastructure to developing sustainable energy sources. In return, humanity offered them sanctuary, welcoming them as equals rather than guests. Together, they began constructing new settlements designed to accommodate both species, blending human architecture with alien innovation. One such settlement rose near the observatory where Elena had spent countless nights gazing at the stars. Named Unity Haven, it became a beacon of cooperation and progress. Streets lined with glowing trees powered by alien bioluminescence led to buildings, crafted from materials stronger than steel yet lighter than air. Schools taught children about the wonders of space exploration, while research facilities delved deeper into understanding the Sentinel's origins. Unity Haven wasn't just a city, it was proof that two vastly different civilizations could coexist harmoniously when driven by mutual respect and shared goals. Elena played a pivotal role in shaping this new era. As humanity's liaison with the aliens, she traveled extensively, fostering relationships between leaders of both worlds. Her partnership with Kyle, the alien leader, grew stronger over time. Though their appearances differed greatly, they shared a common vision: peace among the stars. Through telepathic conversations and joint missions, they worked to bridge cultural gaps and ensure that the lessons learned during the battle would never be forgotten. But perhaps the greatest change occurred within humanity itself. The fear and division that had plagued nations for centuries gave way to a sense of global identity. People no longer identified solely by nationality or ethnicity. They saw themselves as citizens of Earth, united by their shared struggle and triumph. Monuments dedicated to the Sentinels sprang up worldwide, reminding future generations of the sacrifices made and the strength found in unity. Artists painted murals depicting scenes of the battle, capturing the bravery of pilots, soldiers, and ordinary citizens alike. Writers penned stories celebrating heroes big and small, ensuring their courage would live on forever. Even as Earth healed, curiosity about the wider galaxy burned brighter than ever. With the help of alien technology, humanity unlocked the secrets of faster-than-light travel, allowing ships to journey beyond the solar system. Explorers ventured into uncharted territories, seeking answers to age-old questions. Who built the Sentinels? What other civilizations existed out there? And why had Earth been chosen as their guardian? The answers came slowly, pieced together, through fragments of data recovered from ancient ruins scattered across the planet. Archaeologists discovered temples buried beneath mountains, libraries etched onto indestructible crystals, and artifacts that hinted at a precursor race known as the Lumini. According to these findings, the Lumini had once ruled a vast interstellar empire, using their advanced knowledge to protect weaker species from threats like the Void Spawn. When their civilization collapsed, they left behind the Sentinels as guardians programmed to awaken whenever Earth faced existential danger. Though much remained unknown, humanity embraced its newfound role as inheritors of the Lumini's legacy. Delegations from Earth traveled to distant star systems, forging alliances with other civilizations grateful for the defeat of the Void Spawn. Trade routes opened, cultural exchanges flourished, and scientific breakthroughs multiplied as humans and aliens worked side by side. Even the scars left by the Void Spawn served as reminders of resilience. The craters became lakes teeming with life, and ruined cities transformed into vibrant hubs of innovation. For Elena, life took on a new rhythm. No longer confined to the observatory, she became an ambassador for Earth, traveling the galaxy to promote peace and cooperation. Wherever she went, she carried with her the lessons of the battle. That fear could turn into courage, despair into hope, and division into unity. Her story inspired billions, proving that even the smallest actions, like holding hands or focusing thoughts, could make a difference when multiplied by collective willpower. As years passed, Earth evolved into something extraordinary. It wasn't perfect. Challenges still arose and disagreements occasionally flared. But humanity had proven itself capable of greatness. The Sentinels remained dormant, their lights dimmed but ready to awaken should another threat emerge. Yet, few doubted that if such a day came, Earth would rise to meet it with the same determination and unity that had saved it once before. On a quiet evening, Elena returned to the hill near the observatory. Below her, Unity Haven glowed warmly under the twilight sky. Above her, the Sentinels floated silently in orbit, their presence a comforting reminder of how far humanity had come. She smiled softly, knowing that Earth's journey was far from over. The stars still held mysteries waiting to be uncovered, adventures yet untold. But for now, she allowed herself a moment of peace, gazing upward and whispering a silent thank you. To the Sentinels, to the aliens, and to the indomitable spirit of humanity. And as the first stars appeared, twinkling like tiny lanterns hanging, in the vastness of space, Elena felt certain of one thing. Earth's place among the stars was secure. The sky had parted, revealing not just star destroyers but the boundless potential of a species destined to shine brightly in the cosmos.